Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another video for my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, and this one is the pre-season video for season number 2. So we've got the very first season ever of this game done and dusted. It was a pretty successful season, I think. We just about got AlphaTauri in the championship for P6 in the last episode, but this video is going to go through all the prep and preparation over the winter break ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix round 1 of the brand new season, and we have got some very exciting changes to talk through. We've got a teammate change, we've got the driver market switches, because we've got Kimi Raikkonen retiring from Formula 1 following season 1, so there's definitely going to be a domino effect in the driver market. And then we've got to show you around our very exciting and brand new car, and also all the upgrades to the facilities we've been making over the winter break. At the moment in the calendar, you can see we're actually here 25th of March into the next season, and we're nearly ready to reveal our car, but I think we've missed a few steps, so let's go back a little bit and rewind ourselves to the very end of last episode. All the way back to the 17th of December in that first season following the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, we've got the contract renewal period with our teammate, or we can go for the driver market and try and find ourselves a brand new teammate. I gave you guys 2 major votes at the end of last episode, and one of them was to do with our teammate. Do we go for a big name experienced driver or a young gun who might be less experienced but a bit of a hot shot maybe? And you guys have voted majority 68% to go for a big name experience that comes with extra R&D, so I'm going to be happy, I think. And obviously, first and foremost, it's a big name, so it's going to be quite exciting, hopefully. And I've picked out 3 drivers that we're going to watch and maybe try and go for. And that's Fernando Alonso in Alpine right now, Sergio Perez at Red Bull, and Sebastian Vettel at Aston Martin. 3 big names. They've been around in Formula 1 for a decent while. Well, I'm not going to lie, my eye and thought was on Sebastian Vettel. I'm a big fan of Seb. You know, he's a lovely, down-to-earth, humble guy. He's in this new zone of his career, having left Ferrari, and I've always thought it'd be really, really cool to get Sebastian Vettel in our team to kind of give him a new race-winning car, kind of turn back the years and kind of get the old Seb Vettel back, one who's a serial winner. On last year's game, F1 2020, I didn't get a chance to do that because he retired in the first season, whereas in this game, he's not. So we're going to see if we could sign him, because remember, these guys all have big names for a reason. They're very good drivers, so they may not actually want to sign for our team. So let's see what Sebastian Vettel is saying. Is he going to be open to negotiations, I wonder? Fingers crossed. Let's see. Approaching driver, and he is not. He is not. His approach has been declined. He wants Spec 2 in the chassis. He wants 4th or better in the championship last season and 6th or better in vehicle performance. Technically, I think that's a little bit glitched because I think we did get 6th in the R&D chart. But the championship, no, we were nowhere near 4th, and we don't have Spec 2 in the chassis. So you can see Vettel demanding quite a fair bit. And to be fair, he's probably got a lot better than what we've got at the moment over at Aston Martin. You know, Aston Martin, technically on paper, the fourth best team on the grid, and you know, depending on how the winter goes, they could be right up there, you know, fighting for consistent podiums in season 2. We don't know yet, but that's a possibility, and that's definitely not maybe a possibility with our team. So that leaves us then with Fernando Alonso or Sergio Perez. Now, I'm sure there's going to be quite a lot of Alonso fans that would love to see me sign Alonso, and to be honest, even I would kind of like to sign Fernando Alonso, but we also had a lot of on-track battles with him, so potentially, you know, the relationship wouldn't be exactly the best starting off with, because we had such a ferocious fight all season long with him versus Alpine. And you know, with Sergio Perez, we didn't really fight him that much. And also, in terms of the actual stats themselves, even though Alonso is way more experienced, so would probably earn a little bit more R&D, in terms of stats like pace and the racecraft, Sergio Perez is actually higher. So in terms of actual out-and-out one-lap pace, Perez may be able to extract more from our car, and the racecraft is there to ultimately go wheel-to-wheel a little bit more. Alonso has the awareness to try and avoid incidents, but also with Sergio Perez, we're maybe going to get a guy that knows how to operate in the midfield and get more from a team than their budget will allow. Obviously, we know Alonso can do that in the car, but when it comes to doing it when budget constraints are there, when R&D constraints are there, like in our career mode, Perez knows how to do that. And if he is actually open to an approach from us, and we do actually manage to sign him, we would be stealing him away from one of the top teams, Red Bull, so they would have a problem. We weaken a team that we're trying to chase down in the championship. A bit long-term, I'll admit, but still. And also, to be fair, I think Alonso is a very obvious choice. A lot of people will choose him in, career mode saves, even content creators as well, whereas Perez is a bit of a left field choice, and I've never actually dealt with Perez as a teammate. So I fancy going a bit different, and we're going to approach Sergio Perez and see if he's even open to maybe coming to our team. And the moment of truth is upon us, and he has accepted the approach. He will negotiate with us. He wants Spec 1 on the powertrain, and Spec 1 and marketing. Spec 1 and marketing. So tell you what, once again, investing in marketing in Season 1 has paid out for me, because we wouldn't have been able to approach him otherwise, and we can comfortably meet his demands. So now we have to go in an auction bid with Red Bull. We're going to let them put in a bid first. I'm going to go with a large bid, 6.15 million. Red Bull thinking about it, under consideration, and finalizing the deal, Oh! And to my surprise, we have won Sergio Perez's contract a lot lower than I thought we would have to go. I thought we would have to go up till 10 million, but we have got him for $6.15 million. That is a steal for an 88 rated driver of Sergio Perez's caliber in the midfield fight as well. Like I said, we know how experienced he is in those kind of fights. That is an absolute steal. So Red Bull clearly didn't even want to keep him that much because they didn't put up much of a fight. So actually, I think we're doing him a favor, and he's going to be a team that actually wants him there and wants him to do well. So thank you very much, Red Bull. We've signed Sergio Perez as our Season 2 teammate. I'm actually really chuffed with that. I think that's a great bit of business to get him for 6 million there. That's massive, because we've still got nearly 4.8 million in the bank then, and that means we can actually go ahead and purchase an upgrade on the chassis side of things. Spec 2, ironically, the spec we would have needed to help us get Sebastian Vettel. Obviously, there's other parameters, but we're going to go ahead and make our chassis Spec 2 by buying the build time spec. So all the parts now are going to come in 40% reduced time coming in, and that's going to open us up really nicely. So Spec 2 for aero and chassis into the next season is going to be big. That also, remember, opens up more upgrades, because we were bottlenecked a bit with the actual upgrades we had left to purchase on the chassis side of things. In terms of actual R&D upgrades that we're going to buy, we've got just over 1.1k R&D points, but a lot of the R&D now is actually very pricey, so it's going to be interesting. I don't really know the rate at which we're going to be upgrading in Season 2. It kind of worries me a little bit of how expensive these upgrades are. We're definitely going to have to try and get as many boosters as we can, but in terms of buying anything right now, we're going to go ahead and purchase, I think, one upgrade on the weight redistribution, which is the plank, for 775. Not too much, not breaking the bank. At the same time, a little bit annoyed there's no discount, but we're just wasting time, valuable time that we could be using to get an upgrade in if we don't buy anything. So buying one upgrade is, I guess, better than nothing. We have 400 points left. We're going to get some more, obviously, going into the next season in the activity calendar. But yeah, we have already kind of hit a point where upgrades are becoming very expensive. But you can see why. We're kind of right there with Alpine. Both ourselves and Alpine will maybe be looking to make a step up to chase after Ferrari. McLaren, they were the second best team last season, in reality, but on paper, they're apparently the fourth best on the R&D chart, and Aston Martin are ahead of them. So that begs the question, what will Aston Martin do next season as well? So we've got a lot of variables that aren't known quite yet, but going into the season, we've got an interview then with Will Buxton.
Thanks so much for the invitation to your HQ. Let's have a little chat about the team's performance this season. We've seen ex-driver Lucas Weber has been spending quite a lot of time with your team recently. We understand he's been working as some kind of consultant. What's that been like?
Yeah, obviously we're big fans of Lucas Weber here on this channel. Obviously, what a Donny from the F1, F2 story mode in 2019. So, yeah, happy to have him.
The recent flooding at the factory must have been a significant setback for your team. How much impact does something like that actually have?
I think we handled the situation well. We dealt with it, and it's a non-issue.
You spoke a while back of a significant investment in your chassis department. Has this investment given your team the push it needs to make substantial gains this weekend?
Obviously, we have invested a lot into the chassis early on last season, and so hopefully we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to try and break through with some new budget also into Season 2 and carry pushing on.
Let's talk about that article. Not a good look for you or for your team. Do you want to tell us your side of the story?
I will. It's a non-issue. That article's such a non-issue that I don't even remember what the article was about. You say that article, I'm like, what article? What are you on about? It's a non-issue. I'm not even thinking about it at all.
Sergio Perez always seems to get the best out of the car he drives. Will you be able to give him a championship-winning car?
I can't say that for certain, but we hope so. Development of our car's progressing well, and you're correct. You know, that's why we've signed Perez. He gets the max out of the car, and that could, that could come through into some podiums next season.
Well, thanks so much, as ever, for your time. It's hugely appreciated.
Thank you very much, Will. Thank you very much. And so we go on to the end of this season. We've got a marketing department event that actually comes up, a tour offer. We spend 100k and we get 2,000 team acclaim. This seems like a no-brainer. We decline it and nothing happens. We just decline the tour, or we go all out, spend the money, and we know 2k is a lot. You know, we can get 2.4k acclaim for just beating a rival on track, which takes a couple of races. So it's a no-brainer in my mind to just spend 100k, which is basically nothing. It's like, you know, a drop in the water basically for us to get 2k team acclaim. You know, we've got a long way to go till the next acclaim level unlocks for another sponsor, so we need to keep on pushing. But we get nearly 8 million then from our primary sponsor Echo, and we also get a tasty bit of cash as well for 6th place in the Constructors' Championship. That's why it was so important to push on and try and beat AlphaTauri, because we're now back to where we started at the very start of this episode, 25th of March, and we've got nearly $22 million in the bank, and we've already signed Perez, so this is all for our team. This is all for the facilities, which is absolutely great stuff. So now to the first portion of the activity timeline, looking at what we can do here. We've got a driver training camp for 5 days, which is going to boost Sergio Perez's stats by 5 on each, and focus up by 2 arrows, which I assume is going to be a lot, and resource points plus 500. So that is what I'm definitely doing, because we're going to get a better Sergio Perez and some extra R&D, and he's going to be more focused. And then, well, we've got an interesting one, because we've got a few different ways to go about it. The aero and chassis focus, or power durability, both of those will boost the morale, but also both those will add 1,000 R&D points, which is a lot, because a lot of these upgrades are now 1,000 something to purchase. So I've gone for aero and chassis. It does mean the morale will be a bit low on the powertrain durability, but that's not where we're focusing. Powertrain-wise, we're about the 4th best team now on the grid after the Honda upgrades came in last season. Durability, we don't really care about too much right now, especially, I might add, since recording Abu Dhabi and this pre-season episode, a patch has come in to reduce the wear in quick practice. So that's no longer a glitch that's going to happen for us. So hallelujah, that's awesome. So we're going to just firm the lower morale for those 2 departments and accept the 1,000 R&D and the booster morale. And on top of that, we got an email saying Honda have brought in upgrades anyway for us on the powertrain side. I believe there's going to be, I think those are kind of very natural upgrades that have come in for not only us, but also for Red Bull and AlphaTauri as well. In terms of the R&D chart then, this is how we look. So we've actually jumped Alpine. Alpine were ahead of us and at Abu Dhabi, but they've now gone below us, and they're a lot closer to AlphaTauri. You can see Aston Martin have climbed, and Red Bull have sank. Red Bull are now the 4th best team on paper. So not only have they lost Sergio Perez, they're now the 4th best team, hypothetically. Obviously, we know on track Aston Martin weren't that high up on the actual races, but now, who knows? No wonder Vettel wanted to stay. He's apparently got the 2nd best team on the grid. So that's been quite interesting. Aston and McLaren are very close. So it may be a titanic scrap between Vettel, Stroll, Norris and Ricciardo to vie for those podium slots. Looks like Mercedes have maintained a healthy advantage, so that's a little bit annoying for the championship's sake, but obviously we're not even in the fight yet, so it doesn't really matter too much. But for us, we're a lot closer to Ferrari than we were, so that, you know, that notion of us looking upwards to Ferrari is definitely true. We're definitely going to have to look at beating Ferrari in the first half of the season, and then trying to build on and catch up to, well, I can't believe I'm saying it, Red Bull now in the second half of Season 2. So we've got our targets on our sight. We've done well to maintain performance over the winter, and I'm feeling good. That's a really good place to be, I think, going into the second season. And I mentioned Honda upgrades there. There may have been a little bit of confusion, actually, in what's actually occurred. So obviously we've adapted the parts, and then also remember I said that it seemed like Honda adapted all their parts, but that's maybe not actually true, because look at this bottom column here for supplier upgrades that Honda give us, those were all upgraded last season, I believe, and now they're not. There's only one upgrade. So I think the engine being reset in the R&D regulations has meant that you can't actually save the ones that the supplier gives you. So everyone's engines have been nerfed. So that's going to be something also to watch out for in terms of the physics of the car. Will definitely be a little bit different going from Season 1 to Season 2, which I like, because it's always nice to actually have a bit of difference like they have in real life, that you actually have to get used to the car again and get up to speed with it. But it's now time for a big moment that I'm sure you've all been waiting for, to see our brand new car for Season 2. From the old to the new. Keeping true to the colours you guys voted for, a base of black, and then on top of that, accents of the fluoro green, yellow, and white. And this is what we've come up with. Something that looks really mean on the front end. I love the little, you know, kind of design on the nose to make it look really aggressive and a little bit more unique, maybe, to what we've done from F1 2020. There are some familiar design touches, I will admit, from F1 2020, but, you know, it's a case of, you know, if it's not broke, then don't fix it. And there's some things that just definitely worked on F1 2020 when I was designing the liveries for that My Team series that we've carried on here. But you can notice Sergio Perez's personal sponsors are there as well, obviously. So just like in real life, when a driver moves to a team and they've got personal sponsors, we brought Perez's personal sponsors along with us onto the car. And like you guys voted for, the main title sponsor on the side pod and the halo ended up being Canon with 37% of the vote. It's pretty close, to be fair, though, but Canon did win the vote. And you'll notice as well, with Kimi Räikkönen retiring, I can take back my lucky number and favourite number 7 on the car. We're still powered by Honda, so we've got the Honda stickering there as well, and then we've got the Nike and Jordan branding there as well, looking lovely and snazzy. And for a Season 2 attempt, you know, very first attempt and very first chance to mod custom livery onto the game, I think we've done a pretty decent job. I think it looks pretty damn slick for a first job in Season 2. I think compared to the Season 2 job we did in F1 2020, I think you can see we've got a lot more comfortable with designing liveries for this game and for My Team especially. New season and new modding means a new helmet design as well. We've actually taken inspiration from the helmet design we actually ended the last season of. We've got my usual familiar design touches though, my logo at the front, the Union Jack and aarava on the sides, quadrant on the visor, and overalls, of course, to nod to my actual in real life esports team with Lando Norris. And then on the overalls, well, we've got a blast from the past, the old design we had from F1 2020, because I really liked that design with the little chevron design. And then as we had on the car, we've got Perez's sponsors as well on the overalls, as well as my ones as well. And eagle-eyed viewers also may notice the usual Nike off-white boots also returning at the bottom, but you hardly see those, unfortunately, in the cutscenes and on the podium. But I love the little touches, the little details. But anyway, so we've got the team, we've got the car, the team out of the way, the main admin of everything out of the way. And it's now time to dive in to the meat of pre-season, spending over $22 million. Now, we're not going to spend everything, but we're going to spend a decent amount, because why not? You know, you got to spend money to make money. Never be afraid to spend money on this game. So in terms of the upgrades, you know, we've already got Spec 2 on the chassis and aero. So right now, the first thing I'm going to buy is marketing. I'm going to buy the other sponsor relations side of the marketing suite. So that's going to boost the overall rate of acclaim that we gain. And remember, the more acclaim we get, the quicker we can get to that final sponsor, and that's going to open up more revenue, and that's going to open up, obviously, more upgrades on the facility. So it all trickles down. But in terms of our next upgrade, I was tempted to buy maybe the build time and get to Spec 2 on the engine, but, you know, we don't need to quite yet. We're not quite bottlenecked by the engine. We know there's going to be some Honda upgrades coming in from their side, from the supplier side, and we are the 4th best team on the engine right now. So at this early stage of the season, I'm going to go a little bit left field, and we're going to really invest in personnel. We're going to buy the fitness center, and we're also going to buy the analyst suite. So that's going to boost the second driver's racecraft, awareness, focus, and then also the experience. So that's going to get him to earn more R&D for us, and then also in the race, he may be better at making overtakes, avoiding crashes, and then the focus hopefully will stay a little bit higher than what we had with Ilott last season. Now, that's a lot of investment in our teammate, but remember, you know, you saw me doing all the heavy lifting is never going to work in the championship. I need Perez to be scoring the same amount of points. I need him to be pushing me, really, to be a better driver as well, so I can improve my racecraft, improve my driving on this game. So I'm going to really invest my time into personnel and go for it. I think that's what we need, honestly, to try and take the fight to Ferrari and even Red Bull, obviously, if they're slacking this season. Even after those 3 upgrades, we've still got cash over, so we're going to go ahead and buy the build time on the engine. I thought, you know what, we've got the cash, why not spend it? So we buy the build time on the engine, and then I was scratching my head of what next to buy, because like I said, I don't want to go ahead and upgrade the chassis and aero side quite yet anymore, because we've done enough. We've done enough to the point where we have enough upgrades that we're going to chase after with R&D. And remember, those R&D, they're really expensive, so it's going to take us a while to actually earn enough R&D to buy those upgrades. So where else could I spend the money? I thought maybe marketing, but you know, we've already just bought 1 upgrade. That's enough for today. So in the end, I had a bit of a brainwave. Of course, we've got the reduced R&D settings for the career settings, as you guys voted for at the start of Season 1. So a way we can boost our own R&D So a way we can boost our own R&D gain in the game with the mechanics available to us is to buy the resource point generation upgrades on each department. Something that I never did in F1 2020 because that made it a bit too easy. But now with the reduced R&D settings, it's worthwhile buying those because, you know, it's available to us as a mechanic in the game, and it will kind of almost offset the reduced R&D, if you know what I mean. Obviously, it'll still be there, but it's going to help us a little bit to try and gain a little bit more R&D. So that's what we're going to do. It seems like a logical option because also that upgrade is quite cheap, so we can actually buy all 4 departments and not break the bank. We've got about 2.74 million left over. We could buy something else, but we could also invest it in ourselves in the driver perks to open up the media coaching. That will give us a few more answers in the interviews, which could be useful because there are a few times where I have to go no comment because I have the answer locked to me. And then also buying another development feedback upgrade to boost the resource point income by another 10% by our individual self in quick practice. We then get met with the personnel department event. We've got an interview request for Sergio Perez. If we allow him to do it, he gets 1,000 acclaim. If we decline it, he gets focus, but he's already pretty focused anyway, and 1,000 acclaim is quite a lot for him personally, and the more acclaim he has as an individual, the better that is actually for the team as well. And you know, that happens all the time in real life, you know, new driver, new team, do an interview pre-season. So I was tempted to boost the focus even more, but we've already boosted it anyway with the driver camp we did, so I'm going to go ahead and accept it. Also, by the way, if you notice the money going kind of up and down a bit weirdly, that's because in the editing I actually bought the engine upgrade for the facility before the personnel one, but I explain it to you guys the other way around. So if you think something's gone a bit weird with the editing, it was just a bit, you know, in the wrong, the timeline was in the wrong place with how I started commentating it, basically explaining it to you guys. But I bought the engine side first, then the personnel, then I finally did the resource point generation. But those are upgrades that we purchased. The upgrades on the resource point generation have come through already ahead of Bahrain. All the other ones will take a bit of time, and I think will come in after the Bahrain Grand Prix. So that just leaves actual pure R&D then. We've got 2,000 points of R&D, which sounds like a lot, but actually really isn't, considering we've got major upgrades of 1.3k. Now, that comes in before the Spanish Grand Prix, but after Bahrain. But you've got a lot of time there, you know, all of April till the Spanish Grand Prix. There's a big gap in the calendar. So I may as well wait, do quick practice next episode, episode 1 of Season 2, get some discounts, then purchase some upgrades, because you may as well, because we've got the time that will allow us to still get the upgrades in before Catalonia, but you may as well just wait a little bit to actually purchase them to get some upgrades. So, finally, we're going to talk about the driver market now. We've obviously stolen Sergio Perez away from Red Bull. Raikkonen retired at Alfa Romeo, so a bit of a domino effect has occurred. And Nicholas Latifi, the Canadian, has taken Raikkonen's vacant seat at Alfa Romeo. So he is alongside Giovinazzi. At AlphaTauri, it's going to be Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda staying put. Obviously, you know, we had a few fights with Tsunoda and a lot of fights then with Gasly in the second half of the season. But, you know, no-brainer for AlphaTauri to stay put with them. them. Gasly driving amazingly, taking that car to places where it really shouldn't be a lot of the times, and Tsunoda didn't do too badly either himself, really. And obviously for Alfa Romeo, they'll be hoping Latifi is a booster for them versus Raikkonen, but I'm not too sure about that. 72 rated, but we'll see, we'll see. Then moving on to some very exciting teams. Well, Aston Martin, you know, they're now the second best team on the grid, on paper, on the R&D chart. Sebastian Vettel, the man we tried to court and declined it, has stayed put in British Racing Green alongside Lance Stroll. 90 rated Focus, not too bad, 73. And, you know, Vettel actually did have some good races. You know, we obviously got overtaken by him a few times and came across him and Stroll. So I'm kind of hoping that Aston could actually pull up their socks and, in reality, on track when it matters, actually take the fight to Mercedes a bit, and McLaren, who I'm sure are going to be there. But Ferrari, Leclerc and Sainz, they stay put as well. These two, well, they're hopefully going to be our main rivals on track. We are looking to hopefully try and take the fight to Ferrari. They're the team directly above us in the R&D chart, so if we don't, I'll be disappointed. So get familiar with Sainz and Leclerc in red, because, well, here's hoping we'll be seeing plenty of them on track, and maybe the Astons as well, because we did see them a few times last season when they really didn't, you know, pull their whole weight. And then our old teammate, Callum Ilott, I'm actually really happy for him. Ilott's found his seat at Haas, so he's out-seated Mazepin, and he's alongside Mick Schumacher, so that's quite nice. So remember, Mick Schumacher was actually my first teammate in F1 2020, so both my first two teammates from last game and this game are now teammates together at Haas, which I found quite nice and quite cute in a way. McLaren, the second best team in the championship last season, multiple race winners last season, with Norris especially, and Ricciardo with the one win that he got as well. They're looking strong, no need to change there, and I'm hoping, like I said, they'll be as strong as they were last season. I want to see them again fighting for wins, but I'd love if Aston could also be there as well, just to give us a really exciting kind of fight at the top end, really, whilst we're not involved in it ourselves, and hopefully they can, all four of them, you know, Norris, Ricciardo, Vettel, Stroll, take the fight to these two. Hamilton and Bottas, they stay put. Bottas, the more focused driver, you'll notice, 84 to 78, so maybe that's why Bottas was the better man, and why he, very oddly and strangely, in this already alternate universe of ours in Formula 1, managed to win the 2021 World Championship over Hamilton. Maybe Hamilton needs to kind of focus up a bit and get his head back in the game, as it were. But now the real question, who is going to be partnering Max Verstappen? We stole Perez away from Red Bull. Who's alongside the Dutchman? Well, quite amazingly, it is the one and only Fernando Alonso. This is absolutely crazy. This is massive. Alonso in a Red Bull alongside Max Verstappen. This is a very weird pairing. He's got 62 focus, so I don't know already if his head's scrambled being in the Red Bull team, a team he was, you know, he hated so much in his career previously, and against, you know, a rival of his, a new guard of Max Verstappen, you know, Alonso very much the old guard. But what a team! Alonso and Verstappen, 94 rated, 89 rated, Fernando Alonso. So he's already gone down one overall rating then from when we saw him in winter season. So I feel like I've already made the better choice of Sergio Perez personally. But that is quite a team, and quite bonkers really, if you know how it all went down in real life, and you know the way Alonso always was with Red Bull, bitter rivals when he was at Ferrari. So that's quite amazing. It leaves Nikita Mazepin at Williams, and that leaves George Russell to leave Williams and get not a top seat, but a much better seat at Alpine. So Russell and Ocon, both 82 rated. That's a really strong team for the midfield fight. And, you know, if Alpine, they're not too far behind us in the R&D chart, they pull up their socks and they upgrade a bit more, they could well and truly, you know, trouble us a bit. And we could see Russell racing us in the Alpine now versus Alonso. And Ocon will be there as well, I'm sure. But that's great. So, you know, it's all changed then at Williams, because both Latifi and Russell left Williams then for this season. Russell to Alpine, Latifi to Alfa Romeo, and it's Mazepin and actually Guan Yu Zhou who is in the Williams. So we've got another graduation for an F2 driver in the form of Guan Yu Zhou alongside the Russian Nikita Mazepin, the Williams. So I'm sure Zhou will do quite well, but Mazepin, not high hopes for him in the Williams car. But that's a pretty exciting set of driver transfers and domino effect for the driver market. Not as bonkers as I maybe want wanted it, and I still think being a game, Codemasters could make the driver transfers even more crazy, especially into later seasons where it kind of needs to be when things get a bit samey. But as a first outing and first look at driver transfers from Season 1 to Season 2, I'm pretty happy. That Red Bull one is pretty crazy. Alonso to Red Bull, that's going to be quite tasty. You know, they're a team that we're looking to maybe chase by the end of Season 2, but, you know, with Alonso and Verstappen, that might be quite a difficult order. They might be very, very strong in race conditions. But that has been, then, the pre-season episode for Season 2. A very chunky one, but hopefully you guys appreciate that level of detail going into this very first transition from season to season. There was a lot to get through, and if you guys did enjoy it all, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content and the beginning of Season 2. Hope you guys are ready for it. Till then, hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.